Here's my preview of the Baylor versus Kansas State football game. Kansas State right now is 6-3 overall, 4-2 in the Big 12, just like Baylor is right at this moment. And first, I'm going to ask, if you do like this content, hit the like and subscribe button because it helps the analytics out so more people could see. And now I'm going to go, and of course, get me up to 400 subscribers and more by the end of this year or sometime in the future. Now, I'm going to go over what K-State has done overall this year, both offense, defense, in terms of like team stats, and some players to keep an eye on. And I'm even going to go even into special teams because those things they do matter. Because they do. So, offensively, they run a spread offense. They average 30.6 points per game. 172 first downs all year long. They average 218.1 rushing yards per game and 201.1 passing yards per game. Time possession 31 minutes. 40 for 121 on third down. 11 for 19 on fourth down. They have allowed 12 sacks this year, 40 tackles for loss, 18 pass breakups, 25 quarterback hurries. They have turned the ball over 7 times this year. 3 interceptions and 4 fumbles. They have allowed a block kick. That's notable. They average 2 or 3 deep on the offensive line, 303.5 pounds. Now, I have no idea who's going to start at quarterback for Kansas State because I know they're trying to redshirt Will Howard potentially so he could have at least 3 years of eligibility there. Because, he has the COVID year and redshirt year. Now, I'm going to mention both quarterbacks just because I want to. Adrian Martinez, number 9, 6'3", 225-pound quarterback, that's a senior. 111 completions out of 176 attempts for 1,236 yards with 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. He has 106 rushing attempts for 617 yards with 10 touchdowns. He does have 1 reception for 11 yards though. So don't be surprised if there's a trick play up their sleeve. Will Howard's the other quarterback, number 18, 6'5", 235-pound quarterback, that's a junior. 34 completions out of 557 attempts for 521 yards with 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. And 9 rushing attempts for 31 yards with 1 touchdown. Now, the best playmaker on the team, it's obvious, Deuce Vaughn. He's number 22, 5'5", 176-pound running back, that's a junior. 173 rushing attempts for 975 yards with 5 touchdowns. He's also a threat out of the backfield because he has 23 receptions for 130 yards with 1 touchdown. DJ Giddens is number 31. He's the backup running back. 6'1", 212-pound running back. That's a freshman. 40 rushing attempts for 242 yards with 3 touchdowns and 3 receptions for 31 yards. Ben Sonnett is like a guy that he's known for. He's like a fullback guy. 6'4", 247-pound fullback. That's a sophomore. 15 receptions for 182 yards. But he has no rushing attempts. Jack Stickson is number 29. 6'5", 10", 245-pound fullback. That's a senior. 1 rushing attempt for 2 yards. I know there's another fullback on here I want to list, and I know he hasn't done much, but Christian Moore, number 44, 6'2", 243-pound fullback. That's a sophomore. No rushing attempts, but 1 reception for 4 yards. The best wide receivers by far are the following: Malik Knowles, Phillip Brooks, Cade Warner. I'm going to go into particular on each one of these. Malik Knowles is number 4, 6'3", 200-pound wide receiver. That's a senior. 35 receptions for 540 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 rushing attempt for 75 yards, which was a touchdown, and 1 completion out of 1 attempt for 11 yards. He's a speed guy. Phillip Brooks, number 88. 5'7" 169-pound wide receiver. That's a senior. He's a speed guy too. 27 receptions for 402 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 rushing attempts for 9 yards. Cade Warner, as in Kurt Warner's son, is on the team. He's a possession wide receiver. Number 85. 6'1", 204-pound wide receiver. That's a senior. 26 receptions for 322 yards with 5 touchdowns and 3 rushing attempts for 21 yards. I'm going to only mention this guy because he's a tight end. Sammy Wheeler, number 19. 6'5", 241-pound tight end. That's a senior. 5 receptions for 39 yards with 1 touchdown. I'll put the stats in the description below so y'all can see it in a link so y'all can see it really. Now defensively, they run a 3-3-5. They have allowed 19.1 points per game. They have allowed 172 first down. Wait a minute. I gotta have to check on that number. Because I might be incorrect about that. First downs number. If nothing else, I'll just readjust the link stuff that I already set up. So that's if nothing. Oh, yeah. Actually, that's correct. That's just ironic that it was the same numbers for first downs on both times. So I'll apologize for that delay right there. I do. I just want to make sure because that seemed funny. They allowed 148.3 rushing yards per game, which I'm going to go in particular in some of those games that they played this year, and 218.9 passing yards per game. They are a good pass defense. I promise you that. Time possession wise, 29 minutes. On third down, they are 48 for 135. Fourth down, they're 7 for 21. 56 tackles for loss, 23 sacks, 29 pass breakups, and 23 quarterback hurries. They have forced 16 turnovers. 11 of those are interceptions, and 5 of those are fumbles. They have blocked a kick this year. The average 2 or 3 deep at the defensive line is 269.4 pounds, but 2 deep at nose tackle, 289.5 pounds, 2/3 deep at defensive end, 261.4 pounds. Now, some players to keep an eye on, like Austin Moore, number 41, 6 foot, 217-pound linebacker. That's a junior. 61 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 1 interception, 3 pass breakups, 3 quarterback hurries, and 2 forced fumbles. Kobe Savage, number 2, 5'11", 206-pound safety. That's a junior. 55 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble. Josh Hayes, number 1, 6 foot, 189-pound safety. That's a senior. 48 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 5 pass breakups, and for 1 forced fumble. Drake Cheatham, number 21, 5'10", 191-pound safety. That's a senior. 35 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 2 pass breakups, and 1 forced fumble. Felix Anduduke Uzoma, U-Z-O-M-A-H. I apologize if I butchered that last name. Number 91, 6'4", 255-pound defensive end. That's a junior. 34 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 pass breakup, and 2 quarterback hurries. Julius Brents, number 23, 6'4", 202-pound defensive back. That's a senior. 31 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and 2 pass breakups. Daniel Green, number 22, 6'3", 242-pound linebacker. That's a senior. 31 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 interceptions, 2 pass breakups, and 1 quarterback hurry. Khalil Duke, number 29, 6'4", 246-pound linebacker. That's a junior. 28 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and 1 quarterback hurry. Sincere Mason, number 9, 6 foot, 215-pound safety. That's a senior. 27 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 interceptions, and 2 pass breakups. Nick Allen, number 52, 6 foot, 220-pound linebacker. That's a senior. 27 tackles, 0.5 tackles for loss, 1 interception, and 2 quarterback hurries. Eli Huggins, number 92, 6'4", 297-pound nose guard, which is basically a nose tackle. That's a senior. 25 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 quarterback hurries, and 1 fumble recovery. Brendan Mott, number 38, 6'4", 5-inch, 240-pound defensive end as a junior, 220 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hurries, and 1 fumble recovery. Now, Jalen Pickle, number 93, 6'5", 310-pound defensive tackle, 13 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 1 pass breakup, and 2 quarterback hurries. T.J. Smith, number 7, 5'10", 190-pound safety, that's a sophomore, 13 tackles, and 1 tackle for one pass breakup. Just 1 pass breakup there. Desmond Purnell, number 32, 5'11", 214-pound linebacker, that's a freshman. 12 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 pass breakups, and 2 quarterback hurries. Jay Clifton, number 31, 6'2", 210-pound linebacker, that's a freshman. 7 tackles, all of those are solid. Gavin Forshaw, number 27, 6'3", 215-pound linebacker, that's a sophomore. 9 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 1 pass breakup. Robert Hintz, number 15. Robert Hintz the second, number 15, 6'2", 282-pound nose guard, which is a nose tackle. That's a senior. 7 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, and 1 fumble recovery. Nate Matlack, number 97, 6'5", 245-pound defensive end. That's a sophomore. 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hurry, and 1 fumble recovery. Curtis Stufflebean, number 47, 6'4", 257-pound defensive end. That's a sophomore. 4 tackles and 1 quarterback hurry. Yuso Sumalo, number 99, 6'3", 340-pound nose tackle. That's a junior. 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 pass breakups. Omar Daniels, number 4, 6 foot, 178-pound cornerback. That's his freshman. 1 tackle. I'm gonna realize it when on special teams wise. I realize that their normal kicker for extra points and field goals most of the year until the last few games has not been playing. In fact, he has a leg injury, and it's Chris Tennant. I know it doesn't say on coversports.com, but the thing is, I know that for a fact that he has not played in a few games here. Number 32, 6'5", 220-pound kicker. That's a sophomore. 9 for 14 on field goals. 5 for 5 on 20 to 29 yards. 4 for 6 on 30 to 39 yards. 0 for 3 on 40 to 49 yards. 23 for 25 on extra points. Ty Zentmer, he has done the kicking duties and the punting duties ever since Chris Tennant couldn't do those kicking duties anymore. He's a 6'2", number 8, 6'2", 200-pound kicker / punter. That's a senior. 41 punts for 1,781 yards. The longest 66 yards this year. 13 punts have went over 50 yards. 18 of those landed inside the 20-yard line. 6 for 6 on extra points. 4 for 4 on field goals, which all 4 of those were 20 to 29 yards. The longest 29 yards on the year. So, yeah. So, as you can tell, there is some disparity on the field goals. And I know he didn't even warm up in August 29th. So, special teams wise for Baylor in this game, you got to be solid like you have been recently. Kickoffs, kick the ball out of the end zone. Take the special team, the hidden yardage away, and don't allow them anything in terms of kickoffs. That's obvious, number 1. Of course, you don't want to commit any penalties during that. And that's across the board. Limit your penalties. I mean, that's the truth. Of course, on punts, you have good punts. You got to have good protection. Same thing goes for extra points and field goals. You got to make them because special teams do matter. Because as you could tell from that last game, without John Mayer's made field goal, that would have gone to overtime. And as for on Oklahoma's side of things, they missed that 55-yard field goal because they had a penalty on that play. They could have got a little bit closer. And we declined a 10-yard penalty, and they We accepted a 15-yard penalty on down. So then they had to go for a 55-yard kick instead of a 50-yard kick. That's the difference. I mean, that's the truth. Now, defensively, you got to be able to stop the run. Especially if you got to have, in passing situations, you got to contain Adrian, get some pressure on Adrian Martinez, but you got to contain him in the pocket. Because he is dangerous with his legs. Like I said in those numbers. What they have done this year. He has done this year. And of course, pass defense wise, you got to be better. And you got to tackle a lot better than last week. I can promise you that. That is for sure needs to be addressed. Right there. And don't let Deuce Vaughn go off. I mean, don't let the deuce get loose. That's a saying. Though, I will say, they are still dangerous. Because, you know, they do have 3 good wide receivers. You got to contain them. At least some of those. And I know prior to that Texas Tech game, the Baylor defense only had 5 interceptions. 5 of those. And now, they have forced 8 interceptions in the last 2 games. 5 against Texas Tech, 3 against Oklahoma and Dale Gabriel. So, yeah, that's got, and of course you gotta get some pressure to get some sacks in the game if possible. And if you have a chance to take down Adrian Martinez, take him down in this game. Now, offensively, you gotta protect the ball. That's number 1. Establish that running game. Because you have dominated. You've been a lot better on the ground recently. You got to, of course, find a way to get the running game going in this game because it will help the passing game. It will help Blake Shapen get easier throws. And not only that, it wears down on the defense. And then you can win time for possession like you have been in the last 3 games. Especially against Kansas and Texas Tech when you had over 40 minutes of time of possession. So, and you got to execute your blocking on your run blocking, and wide receivers need to do that too. And same goes for tight ends and fullbacks if they're going to be in a game. Of course, pass blocking, the offensive line has to protect. Give them time. But I will say, Kansas State is really good pass efficiency wise on defense. I know Quinn Ewers didn't have a good game against them, but the thing is, he just took what he had and not forced it. Blake Shapen does need to do the same thing. Be accurate with the ball and don't force into traffic if possible. And I will say this. I know Kansas State didn't give up that many passing yards last game to Texas. I mean, not like Oklahoma State was. They only had 197 passing yards in the game. But they allowed 269 yards rushing. That's just, for example. I mean, now in a TCU game, I'm going to say Kansas State allowed 215 yards rushing and 280 yards passing in that game. Trying to think. Oklahoma, they allowed 220 yards rushing in that game, despite that win. and 330 yards passing. But we know Oklahoma's offense is good. So, and then that loss to Tulane. I know the quarterback for Tulane didn't have a great day, 176 yards passing, but they had 160 yards rushing though. Of course, on the offensive line and defensive line, you got to be physical and match the physicality and disrupt. And your defensive line, you got to disrupt them in the run game and make them to get third and longs in this game. Of course, pressure and to force mistakes. And I don't know if Will Howard's going to play in the game or not, but he's the better passer of the two. I'm being real. I mean, it's the truth. But if they have Adrian Martinez in the game, that's fine. You just got to find a way to contain him. And you might need a quarterback spy him some. And you got to do to contain that guy as a runner. Because you would hate to play man-to-man and then let him run all over you if you can't get pressure on the back end. So this is going to be a dogfight. This is going to be a war. It's a night game. It's a blackout. Yes, I know Baylor doesn't have black jerseys anymore. But you can make a difference, Baylor fans. And I already tried to get the message across that it is a blackout. And we need a crowd there. Because home field advantage matters in this game. You can make a positive impact in the game. So as you can tell by these numbers, even in their wins against Tulane and Oklahoma, they have given up rushing yards in the game. And that's what Baylor needs to do. Establish the run, wear out that defense, and then eventually they're going to break through. And I know they're good defensively against the run, but at times Kansas State has not showed up. I mean, yes, they did good against Oklahoma and not allowing a single point. But let's be real. Oklahoma State is banged up. They are. So, I'm just telling the truth. I'm calling it the way it is. And Iowa State, they kind of struggled with them. They only won by a point. And it was 10-9. And I know Iowa State's offense is not that good. I know it's not. I know it really isn't. So all you have to do here is you got to find a way to take care of business here. The winner of this game has a chance to be second place in the Big 12. Second place. And that's the truth. Because based on the standings right now, 3 teams are tied at 4-2 in the conference. And of course there's TCU at 6-0. But we don't know how good TCU really is, if they're even going to win their game against Texas or not, but it doesn't really matter because this game matters more. Because, look, if Baylor wins this game, they host TCU next week, and they could control their own destiny. Kansas State can't because they lost to Texas and TCU. So, that's the thing. And I'm just breaking that down. So as you can tell, and you got to limit your mistakes, I mean, as much as possible. And don't have special teams blunders, please. I mean, you got to play complimentary football. I mean, if you're going to have a good punt, make sure it's good enough that they can't get any return yards on you. Or not much. So, let's go out there, give it all, and see what happens. And I'm in Baylor Nation, be there. And I already called you out a few times already. Not just here, but in 2 other videos. Just to get y'all to come and do a blackout just recently. It's just sad when your starting quarterback has to say something about to get the crowd coming to a game. You got to come in this game. If you can't come to the game, give tickets to somebody else that can't come. That's a Baylor fan. If you're a Baylor fan that's going to the game. Seriously. Anyways, I just want to break this down, and I apologize. This will be over 25 minutes long here just now. But I just went in depth in what Baylor needs to do in this game. Of course, you got protect. You got to win the turnover battle. I mean, that's number one. I mean, like and subscribe if you haven't already. That's going to be 400 subscribers and more by the end of this year or sometime in the future.